Everybody, welcome to One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
This is my co-host, Jim Green. This has been a year in the making.
It's really been 23 years in the making. Who wants to tell it? You or me? I don't know. Let's do it. What's going on, everyone? How we doing? Jim Green here, aka Green Monster, along with my brother, my best friend Anthony Irvin, aka Magic. What is going on, my guy? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Coming off a pretty fun weekend. Got to get some time on the water with my dad, which is always a fun time. I was telling you off air that he originally wasn't going to come with me because he was doing some work over at the house, and I wasn't even planning because we had some rain going. The last like 24 hours before going out, so I was kind of skeptical whether I was going to be able to get out because the flows were really high and the water was seemed to be not fishable, but it seemed to have hit on the perfect day because Saturday, around like 11, 12 o'clock, I got to the our local stream and it was like just off color, but not muddy, but just a little off color to the point where it was a good, off color look to it. And I saw one of my buddies down there and he had already started catching. So I'm like, all right, let me just suit up. I'll, start getting my stuff on. So within the first 5 minutes, I catch like about 5 to 10 fish already. And, I call my dad saying like, hey, I'm already catching. And he's like, be up there in 30 minutes.
That's awesome.
So I convinced him to go, and it was fun. And then I think, I gave him a couple flies that I tied up for him, and he caught about 3 or 4 of his own on one of the flies that I gave him. So it's always fun to see, him get out there, and because he was the one that introduced me to fishing when I was a kid. So for me to kind of start, giving back to him and teaching him a little bit more fly fishing and some of the things that I've been doing is a cool turnaround to kind of start doing. And it's definitely been one of those father son bonding tools, definitely with me and my dad. Outside of music, fishing has always been something me and my dad have always loved doing.
Yeah, I know that you've been. Well, were you fishing a lot as a kid with him, or not so much?
I was. My brother not so much, but he would come. But but my dad knew I was more excited about always going because I never wanted to leave.
Right.
He always had to be like, all right, we're going. I'm like, no, I want to stay longer, blah, blah, blah. And my brother's like, well, we're leaving without you if not. So it was definitely, yeah. And I'm out of here. I was definitely dwarf. I'm not leaving till I catch a fish.
I still remember watching those when we were kids, man. Like you were showing me those, and we were. I feel like it was like one of the first times that we laughed as hard as we did at
I would
just
probably
something.
Say,
Yeah. Because I mean, we were cool, like with like each other's different interests and stuff. But I think you and I definitely latched on. Outside of the music and dance thing, definitely through comedy, man. Like just because we both, with our sense of humor, we'll laugh at anything pretty quick.
We're pretty good to get a laugh out of each other. So
100%, right?
How was your weekend?
I mean, it was pretty cool. Friday we did some grocery shopping. We went to Aldi for the first time. So we stocked up on like essentials there. And then Saturday I had to go up and teach my normal midday times. And then Kim actually had a competition with her new studio in Maryland. But it was in downtown Wilmington. So it wasn't like we had to trek to Maryland to see her kids.
Right.
We wanted to try to get out to see her stuff, like her routines, at least once a season. Like I had said before, my competition pieces, I try to get out to see everybody at least once. Um, which I there is one soloist from Baltimore that I haven't gotten to see in person yet, but I have that arranged um for like 3 weeks from now. I think it is
Uh huh.
4 weeks. I think. 'Cause she's actually competing up near King of Prussia. Like, so I was like, okay, done deal. I'll get to see you there.
Right.
um, yeah. So by the time I get to see her, I'll have seen all of my stuff once at least. Oh, my Saturday studio, their first competition is in 2.5 weeks. It's at the end of this month. Uh, yeah, we're recording. We're recording currently. It's like 11:08 p.m. Tuesday, April 12th. This will obviously drop early Friday, the 15th.
Friday.
Yeah, so it'll be a couple weeks from this episode's drop that my one studio, I will get to see them that first weekend. I'm almost positive, especially it's their first comp of the season, so I like to try to get out for that first one if I can. Um,
Uh huh.
so yeah, so Saturday we got to run down to Wilmington to see. By the time we got there, her One Piece had just won, so we just missed it. So we're like, "Ugh." But it's the fact that we showed up to support her kind of thing, and her One Piece that we did get to see um, was really good. She like really outdid herself with these new projects that she got to do this year, and
That's
and
cool.
and realistically, in part it's probably because she's teaching just one night a week, so she is able to just get everything in one night rather than when we had our studio it was constant all the
Hmm.
time, like throughout the week. um so it's cool. I know she had a year off after we closed down, and um she had been out of the teaching game for the entire season, and then she landed this place, and the kids absolutely adore her. So I'm very happy for her right now, and her her routines were stellar to say the least. My Lehigh studio that I told you about, well, I told everybody about maybe episode one or two or three.
Uh huh.
Um, and I know I talked about it episode 10, but I think we might have edited that part out.
Probably, yeah.
um, yeah, for good reason. But my Lehigh kids, I got to see. Um, they were in King of Prussia again. Um, so I got to run up and see that piece perform, and ran into a few of my former students that were at a different studio that now goes there. So I got to see some of them and some of our old clients, and it was good to see them. So that was Saturday, and then Sunday we actually we've been trying to get to Costco because Cheyenne had never been. And I was like, you got to get to Costco
Oh
once at
yeah.
least. Yeah.
I think
So
I've at
and I,
least been there once. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, especially for the hot dogs, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, the $1.50 hot dogs, and they're not small
Jesus.
hot dogs.
Nah, you at least get a good size out of it for the
Yeah,
$1.50.
yeah. I think we talked about how the CEO threatened threatened the people that worked underneath of him. If anyone touches the $1.50 on the hot dog, I will kill them.
Out of anything, do not mess with the hot dogs.
That's right.
Change any other price you want to. You change those hot dogs, there's gonna be hell to pay.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, so yeah, it's a you go to bulk purchase at Costco. So like
Yeah.
for me and Cheyenne, it's just the two of us in we're in a rather small apartment, so it's like it's not a lot of room to stock up on things here.
Right, right.
But in case water doesn't expire, so we I think I actually grabbed I think I grabbed 2 cases because I was like, we're starting to fly through these because you know with the challenge and stuff, and
Yeah,
we're eating at home, uh, and I'm drinking a lot more water
yeah.
lately, and feeling pretty good. I'd say um, Sunday was a pretty chill day outside of the Costco thing, and then think we were binging Vikings a little bit, and then yesterday, um, my one buddy that teaches kind of near me, he didn't have to teach last night,
Oh, nice.
because he's on spring break
Cool.
with with that studio in particular. I think he taught tonight but doesn't have to teach. So his spring breaks are scattered, which mine have been in the last few years. Forget if we talked about this on here, but
Mhm.
because I'm teaching in multiple states, and like the school districts, they all do spring break either leading up to Easter or the week after Easter. So it's like some years I'd be like, oh, I'm only teaching these couple days this week, and then these couple days this week. I don't know why I'm doing the Spider-Man thing.
Fly.
Lie, yeah. One of my favorite parts from the Toby series, right there. Go web, go. Kalamazoo. Like
Kalamazoo.
he's
Yeah,
trying to figure
I
it out.
remember when you showed me that because you were doing the whole fly thing, and I didn't know where that was coming from. But then you showed me the clip, and I just started dying.
Yeah, yeah. It's so classic when he's trying to figure it out. Um, so what we're saying, oh, spring breaks, right?
Yeah.
So it's insane. Like for me this year, um, I was just going on about this with a couple of my colleagues when I left uh the studio tonight. I was like, so I have to teach tomorrow night, but then I'm off Thursday through next Wednesday, and they're like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, I didn't do it at all. I
Right.
just, I just got fortunate that um, it was like an actual week off. So that'll be good. I'm looking forward to taking some time to rejuvenate the mind. I also have this ongoing like neck shoulder stabbing pain that's not great. It's like
Mm,
it gets it gets
it skits.
it gets um it will I'd say every day it's gotten like mildly better, but then there's things that I do and I'm like, nope, you're still there.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm spotting students like in my acro classes, and I'm spotting several kids across the board on back handsprings, which
Right.
they're jumping backwards, and I'm bearing, their
Uh huh.
their body mass in my hands to try to ensure safely get on your hands, land back on your feet.
Yeah.
And I've always like for back handsprings, I'd support the upper body on the lower back with my left hand, and then I'm tossing the
Yeah.
legs over with my right hand because I'm right-handed. But I'm like once they're upside down, my left side is bearing
That's probably why.
like
Yeah.
the brunt of it. So uh, I, I spotted a couple kids today, and it progressively started to aggravate me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta not do this. If I can manage to not spot tomorrow when I teach, then I'll just have the week to recover.
And
Um,
there's not necessarily like another technique that you can use to not do it that way, right? That's like I guess, that traditional way to help somebody spot that way, or is there another technique to do that?
for back handsprings, that's just kind of been the go-to that
Right.
they have to jump back. I have them drill their back walkovers with a couple certain techniques that can help them transition into um like the actual you're starting from your feet and then you're prepping and then you're jumping backwards onto your hands. Like if the student jumps high but they don't swing their upper body quick,
Hmm.
I'm literally carrying them. I'm holding them,
Right.
and it's just a matter of like a couple weeks ago, I had to tell my classes because it was bad. Like I couldn't even roll my neck in the warm up
Mm,
correctly. I mean, I just felt it a little bit there, but a week
right.
ago, I couldn't get the range of my neck without it being like not great.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I had to tell all of my classes, excuse me, um, class, I'm sorry, I have a little injury in my or a strain of some sort. I don't think it's like a major tear or anything. Um,
No. Probably
but
just could be like some type of hyperextension because, like you said, you're bearing a lot of that weight and, like, especially your arm, and then you kind of. It's crazy how like you just think like one muscle group is like doing that, but like your whole like it's probably a couple other muscle groups that are helping you grab and like being able to lift them over.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I would definitely think definitely your neck and maybe like the trap area too.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I feel it's right in here.
Yeah.
So if I can manage to not spot tomorrow and then um not spot when I go back next Thursday, um down to Maryland, um I'll have a couple weeks to make sure I'm like healed and then I'll be okay. And I'm just trying to get to the point where I can like do some working out again, especially with our challenge.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
literally I'm literally only fluctuating in weight because I'm watching what I eat during the week, and then the weekends it's like not a hard reset.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but like I was saying, my one buddy he didn't have to teach last night, so we had like an impromptu um
Yeah.
like grill sesh at my parents because
Nice.
my parents had made dinner for us on Friday, and then we had gone shopping
Hmm.
twice between Friday and Sunday, and I was like, well, why don't we grill because the weather was beautiful.
Hmm.
So and it has been
Right.
thank God.
It was
Um,
it was really nice this evening.
yeah, yeah. I mean, walking out at 9:30 in a t-shirt and
Yeah,
it,
man.
it like comfortably, I'm like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Um,
It puts you in a good mood.
yeah, I'd say. And then it's supposed to be real nice tomorrow and Thursday too. I have to teach tomorrow night, but Thursday, um, I'm looking forward to again in the evening, just enjoying that. And then um, we're leaving Friday. Shy has to work until 2 on Friday.
Okay.
So then we'll get on the road around 3 and get to where we're going by 7, depending on how many times we stop, 7:15 or 30. Um,
Right.
which at least like the last few times that we went up to like where her and her mom stay, um, we were getting there because she would work Friday, and then we get in the car and go by the time she was home at like 5 from work, and then we won't get there till like 9 or 9:30, sometimes
Yeah.
10, which
Yeah.
is it's definitely dark by then. Um, but being able to get on the road now and the sunsets a little bit later
Hmm.
now,
Yeah.
now that we're approaching the uh the summer solstice, right?
Hmm. Now, do you guys take the I-80 as well? Or
Um, we we don't touch 80 until like 3 hours in.
okay,
Um,
yeah. We, after going on the extension, we hit the blue route, go on the extension,
and you
and
get off
then
at 96 to get on to
90
80, right?
96 where that Wawa is. And
Yep. Yep.
that's usually like our stop. Like we'll stop at that Wawa if we need to go to the bathroom, or
Yeah.
especially, since last year we took little guy up there for the first time. That was like, if we needed to change him or anything, or if we needed
Right.
something food, gas or anything. But usually every once in a while, like if either if he was sleeping or if we didn't have to, we would just go right through just to get there, because after that Wawa, it's like another hour
Yeah. I
on
mean,
the I-80 for us.
yeah, I would say, and you're getting on 80 at like exit 277 or something like that, and then you probably get down.
Yeah,
I think it's 277. It's the exit
something
coming
like
off
that.
of 80.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
close.
Then I
I
think
know.
we go to. I gotta think. It's like exit because it goes. The exits go down
Yeah,
in
yeah.
numbers, and I think it's two in the 230s, 233, exit
Okay,
233, Lighthouse.
okay. So, is that just after Bloomsburg or like just before? I forget.
I think it might be before.
Okay,
I think it might be just before Bloomsburg.
that sounds right. Um,
It's a
the
nice ride though. I mean, I
Yeah,
enjoy
I
it.
mean,
I've always enjoyed long rides. I never not like them. I
I
always enjoyed doing long rides.
I used to be uh, pretty about them. I think I'd done enough of them that now I'm just like,
Oh yeah, especially since you've
eh.
done like the cross country. Well, I mean, yeah, I would probably be like, okay. I mean, I've done that, so
Yeah. I mean, I I did the drive to Chicago and back 5 times. So
Mm,
that's going up the Northeast Extension, getting on 80, and almost without fail stopping at that Wawa you were just talking about.
yeah.
Um, and then you're going all the way across Pennsylvania, and then you're
Jeez.
going all the way across Ohio. It's another 4.5 hours.
Uh huh.
All the way across Indiana, which is 2.5, 3 hours. And
Mm,
then you got to do, once you get into Illinois, it's like another hour, and then you're in Chicago.
Jesus. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, the worst was like, I want to say 2 or 3 of the times that I did the trip, I was actually like helping set up and break down the event, which you can go. I forget which episode that I talked about that in, kind of at length.
Uh huh.
Um, but getting there to set up the event meant if I, had to start basically between 10 and 11, like they'd be okay with me getting there a little bit late because they would start around 9. But if they were like, if you get here when you can, don't beat yourself up. But it's a 14-hour drive. So
Right.
I'm leaving at 10 p.m. I'm driving through the night, and you know how much roadkill is on 80 because of
Mm-hmm.
all the deer. Um, and just driving and seeing the deer standing next to the shoulder and being like, I'm I'm wanting to fly like on the highway to get there
Yeah.
because it's a long drive. I'm like, I want to get there soon rather than
Absolutely.
um but seeing the number of deer, you're just like, I certainly don't want to run into these
No.
one of these MFers right here.
Yeah,
Um
it's crazy how much damage those things do to your car, dude.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
an I mean, thankfully I've never had a serious like accident with a deer. I've had one or two clip my car before, but dude, I've seen people like their front end just is like totaled when a deer hits them.
I was speaking of Ridley Creek, I was coming back from there once with an old friend of mine, and we were passing Penn State Brandywine,
Uh,
and out of nowhere we see deer near the cemetery there,
yeah.
and like we see them standing in the shoulder as we're like like doing 35, 40 miles an hour, nothing insanely fast, but
Yeah.
they just run
They
right
do.
out, and they run right out, and my friend swerves, and like it she clipped the deer was like
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh shit,
Whoopsie.
right.
Yeah.
um
And it takes you by surprise too, because
yeah,
again, like you're especially at night. Sometimes you're just like in the moment of driving, and everything kind of seems silent. And all of a sudden, you hear like bam.
and it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. It was broad daylight, not raining, not
Oh,
nothing.
jeez.
The deer just like had a dipshit
Whoopsie.
moment.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah.
uh and decided it was going to go play with traffic. And
I go now. Everybody, good luck.
yeah, fortunately, there wasn't anyone like coming up behind us too fast or anything.
Right.
So
That too.
swerves a little bit, clips the deer, pulls off to the side of the road immediately, looks at it, very minimal damage, and it was the only time that I've ever been in a vehicle and hit a deer. And
Yeah.
I wasn't even driving.
Uh-huh.
Um, so fortunately, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as, like you said, we've seen that they can be. It wasn't the deer waking up in the back of the car and Tommy Boy
I
bad.
was just thinking of that too. I was like, I wonder if
No
you pulled a
way.
Tommy Boy or not. I was
No
wondering if you guys pulled a
way.
Tommy Boy or not. That's awesome. I was waiting for
Oh,
it, like, come on, give me it, give me it, give me it. Nah.
too fucking
Whoopsie.
good, man.
That
I
was a
love
good
it.
scene too.
Yeah. Oh God, the whole movie's just iconic.
It is.
Ah, man, we were we were talking about Farley when we are like right around when we saw Tom. Well, because we were running
Yeah, we
through
were
like
talking
a
about our
list of
comedians. Yeah.
comedians. Yeah. Wow, it's just wild to think he's not here with us. And then it was
Right.
it was funny because I forget where I was, but on the TV was like Joe Dirt. I was like, I was just talking about Spade. This is wild.
Yeah. And
um,
I think we were listening to, or at least we watched it separate times with Two Bears, and Tom had David Spade on his podcast, and
yeah,
I've never
that was cool.
seen Spade doing any type of podcast. Where I think he does have one, but I didn't know he had one. But it's cool to kind of see a lot of comedians doing more podcasts now, and I mean. Seems like, I mean, obviously with Tom and Bert, they've been doing it for a long time, but the amount of podcasts that have been coming up with a lot more comedians, and I think pandemic really helped, springing in a lot of people doing podcasts. Obviously, I mean that was definitely obviously how this podcast kind of started getting ideas with different things coming up and everything. But
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, because you started Table Talk like during the pandemic, didn't you?
yeah, it was
Yeah,
June 4th of 2020.
there you go. And
Yeah.
right then and there, it's like you said, a lot of people gravitated to the podcast world at the time because it's how people interacted because we were conditioned to stay home when we could.
Yeah.
um
And I didn't even really think of it as a podcast at the start of it. I was just more thinking of it as like, oh, it's just a music show, because it really started out with me just asking a lot of my musician friends, hey, let's just, go live together and we just play music for people. But then it started really getting in more to be like, hey, I want us to, have conversations about our music. I mean, we did, talk about music and stuff, but I think as the show started progressing within those first 10 episodes, it really started getting into more conversation. And then the music would be, an extra, you know, cherry on top with, presenting music on there. Um, but it was more for me and the audience getting to know that artist. And then, uh, especially since I've been on TikTok now, I've been really meeting a lot of new artists, and it's been really getting me interested in, getting Table Talk back up and running to, have a bunch of new, artists to talk to, because I just got done talking to one today from California, and his band is called the Witches of Mars. And they're from California, and they kind
Nice.
of have like a Thrice and Coheed and Cambria type of sound.
Okay.
So, the Coheed and Cambria, we talked about them a lot, and I was telling him, yeah, I mean, I'm a big Coheed and Cambria fan. Not much in the current state, but like, Welcome Home, that whole album was
Oh God,
awesome. That
so
that
fire.
whole album was great, and he checked out my song. He said he loved it, and he added the song to one of his playlists on Spotify. And so I checked out his music, and he was all about, because I was kind of going through a lot of his table talk, or sorry, not table talk, TikTok, videos, and he had a conversation or a video about saying that musicians need to stop thinking of this road as like a competition and fighting with other musicians, and start think of it as we all need to start banding together, because we're all trying to climb the same ladder. There's no reason for us to feel it's a competition. because the sooner we try to band together and help each other out, the more. And I think it had to do a little bit with how the music industry is like set up too, the fact that you have a lot of your tiers and everything, but like I think the majority of it is like the independent artist community that is keeping a lot of these things going, because every artist was once an independent artist or a nobody
Yeah.
until they just got into the right hands or they got discovered. So, and I totally agreed with them that it's, um, especially in my older, self. I've had years of being a musician, and now it's to the point where I've gotten to, I gotten over the fact of like being able to, feel as like, oh, okay, well, I want to be better than this band, or I want to, sell out more tickets than this person or that person. It shouldn't be much of a competition, because we should be able to have these other bands that we may feel that may have a better fan base, or we have a better fan base, and then and then helping these other people out to get on the same level, because you
Right.
never know, their fans might like us and then our fans might like them, and then we have crossover fans, and then that turns into a whole tour that these other bands can just tour together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think it just comes with maturity and experience with a lot of people too. I mean, I think when you're younger, you're always thinking, "Oh, okay, well, we want to be the biggest band, and we don't care who we have to, jump over hurdles and, this and that."
Right.
But you know, so it's been cool, and tracing back to what I was saying, it's definitely inspired me to try to eventually fit in some new episodes of Table Talk. So maybe within this year I'll bring it back and try to get some new episodes. But I've been definitely thinking over the last couple of months of just trying to think of ways to. I probably won't be able to do every week or every other week, but maybe I'll bank a couple episodes and then eventually just release them, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, and not for nothing, I know that you are into the thick of like rebuilding your new album that
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
dropping. So I think that as you have that at least halfway, uh, wrapped up where and where you want it. Um, like I know you have like some small goals that we've talked about, or small soft deadlines, but you're
Yeah.
also not trying to corner yourself, which I totally get. Not trying to rush your creativity. We've had that talk before more than
Yeah.
once.
And
Um,
especially with this next release, I'm just about done the recording process with it. So, just off the top of my head, thinking give it, maybe a month to mix and master, and hopefully have the next single out by June. Because I just got one last month, so you have March, April, May, June, so it's like a 3-month difference between. So
yeah,
I mean, I think that's good, because I'm just kind of doing them as they go. But it's easier for me to write these and record these because the songs are already written. It's just more of me re-recording them and just putting some extra things like, oh, I think I could probably do this solo better than what it originally was, or maybe I can sing this line a little different or change because this sentence doesn't make sense. So maybe I'll just edit a new and add a new lyric in there or something. But
there you
yeah,
go.
so uh I've been getting a lot of good feedback on the new episode, the new single, Dreamers Are Believers. If anybody hasn't checked it out yet, feel free. I'll leave a link in the description of the episode. Would love to hear your feedback. And if you guys listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music, feel free to add it to your playlist, share it with a friend, and be on the lookout for another single coming out in the late spring, early summer. So I put out a little teaser video on my socials. So if you guys want to go to that, so Spoken Life Music on Facebook, Instagram, a lot of socials, go check it out. Check it out now.
Check it out now.
Check it
Yeah,
out now.
yeah. Pause the episode that you're listening to, like with us on one set, and go do that. Come back to this,
Don't
right?
worry, I'll wait.
Yeah, we'll be right here.
And we're back.
And here we are.
Can I just tell you how I love Tom's entry into the first parts of Your Mom's House, because he'll once he does like the first video, he's like, and here we go.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
always
because
makes me laugh. I do not know why, but just the fact that he's like, and here we go.
yeah, when he'll play the first video, and then their theme song is so fun, man. Like
It is.
with how it starts out. There's like the little scuttle in the beginning where it's
Uh-huh.
like, and then
Uh-huh.
it's like the welcome
Uh-huh.
to your mom's house, and it's like the gonna ran a rainy. It's so catchy, man. And then
No, wait,
they
we're
have
gonna get a copyright. We're gonna get a copyright strike.
they've they've got Nadav and Annie just bopping their heads in the booth, and all these new guys keep showing up in that booth. Did you notice that? It's like they
Yeah,
added they added a
yeah,
third guy, they added a fourth guy. Now they had a fifth guy, and I'm like,
yeah,
they literally just have like a party in there and are
right.
just well. It's probably because they like they're they're probably not slowing down with podcasting if we're serious.
No.
Um, so they're gonna keep YMH like forever, I think, and then
Oh yeah, yeah,
I think Tom and Bert will go for a long time together on Two Bears.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I mean, but like all three of them, Christina, Tom, and Bert, have like their own solo casts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've
On
seen
top of
zero.
them having their together ones, but they all had their individual things
Right,
too.
right. I have not seen any of Christina's or
I
Tom
haven't either.
or Tom's for that matter. I haven't seen any of it's what Tom
No.
Talk, right?
Tom Talks, yeah, or Tom Talk, or Tom Talks. I think it's Tom Talks, but yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
I've listened to a little bit of Bert's podcast, individual podcast, and he has a couple cool people. He had Trevor, what's his name? It's the Instagram influencer. I forget his last name.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
I'm not
But
sure. Well,
I
he
think
had
Trevor Wallace, is it?
mm,
I have to go look it up now.
okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
he had Dane Cook on the one.
he did. Yeah.
I still have to finish. I still have to finish YMH from last week with Chris Stefano
Trevor
and
Wallace. Yeah.
Trevor Wallace. Okay, and then you also told me, Anth, that you just told me before we went, signed on or what is it? Hit the record button, I guess. Not not go live because we're not live,
Uh-huh.
right? Um, but you were telling me that Chris was on the Pat McAfee show too.
Yes.
I just pulled that up, so I am excited to check that one out.
Yeah. 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 I think Chris is definitely funny. And like you said, you turned me on to him and Sal for the Hey Babe podcast, which I haven't watched in a little bit. So I definitely have to look at some episodes on that. And yeah. And Jen has been watching Impractical Jokers a lot at night.
Hmm.
So I'm just like,
It's
so that's cool.
working. It's working.
It's
Finally.
it's come in like the Chappelle, like,
Yeah.
come on.
You can do it. That's like with Cheyenne when we first started dating. Like she'd only seen a couple of stand up things, but like she wasn't really into like comedy like that. Now
Yeah,
she's like she wants to go see Tom and Bert like live at
yeah.
some
Jen
point.
definitely wants to see Bert. I think once Bert comes back around and it's a little bit closer, because she didn't want to go all the way out to Reading with because she had, like I said, she hasn't gone on a long trip without the baby yet.
Right.
So she's like, I think Philly or something like that would be a little bit better than going all the way out to Reading or go down to Baltimore.
Baltimore.
So
Yeah,
we'll
for
have
sure.
to check the tour dates, and we'll have to do a double date.
Yeah, man. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
All good. I mean, going to see Tom again, his set's gonna be not very different, you know.
that's what I was thinking too. I mean, I'm not sure how different it would be, and because it's still coming from the same tour, he's just adding dates to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how different it would be, but I'm
Mhm.
sure it would still be fun to go see.
Yeah. I know Cheyenne's like, oh, well, if we can catch him on his third leg in the summer where, you know, your my work in the summer is like basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday steady. So I have Friday to
Yeah,
Monday flexible. I will still have some things that pop up here and there.
right.
But I was like looking at some of the dates, and then I was like, it's going to be very similar to what Anthony and I just saw. Um, so yeah, if I can catch Bert close by, uh, well, if like you said, if he winds up in Philly and it's a time where we can all make it, then that would be ideal, right?
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Um, I did want to zero back real quick on what you were talking about, um, with like being there to support the other local indie artists, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not much different in dance. It is a little bit of a different industry, and there is a little bit more. Um, I think that when you were saying having feeling like you're competing against other people, there's just like a limit. Like it can be healthy competition to where everybody's hyping each
Yes.
other up to be better, and
Yes,
that
that's definitely a different story, but yes, yeah, go
yeah,
on.
yeah. So, like if you're there hyping other people up to be better, and they're elevating,
Yes.
it's going to in turn make you say, okay, well, they're they're climbing, so I got to it makes you feel more competitive against yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's why I know I was in the headspace for a long time. Like I was not necessarily competing with the room, if I was taking class, but I was competing with myself to try to be better for me, so that I
Right.
felt like I was on a similar playing field with some of the other people in the room. And granted, sometimes it's just not the case given how much experience that they have in training and whichever. It depended on what kind of class I was taking too. If I was taking a hip hop class versus if I was
Right.
taking a technical class, like a contemporary class. My ballet background is not incredibly strong, so when I was taking a class that was a little bit more technically sound, I would struggle, obviously. um,
Right.
so yeah, I think I got to a point where I wasn't a sociable person really, when I would go train at like the conventions when I was touring around. Um, so I'd walk into the room, I'd mind my own business. I'm taking class, I'm working hard. Um, it wasn't until down the line that like I started running into people more consistently,
Yeah.
and some of the people will come up and talk to me, and I was like, oh, okay, like as long as you're leading the conversation, like I'll have back and forth with you.
Yeah.
I remember there were a couple times when I was like, where was I? I think I was out in like Portland, Oregon, and I didn't know anyone from out there. Like the people that I was running into were the people, like on a regular basis, were the people that were um, going to more of like the central states or the East Coast states, right?
Right.
So when I go out west, I'd run into some of them in LA because that was just a place that it was a hot spot. All the dancers would gravitate towards there. But like when I was up in Portland, Oregon, or like in the Seattle area, I was like, I don't know none of y'all. um, so I'm like sitting there. I think I was having lunch like in the hotel restaurant by myself, and people that were in the classroom with me, like it was a handful of them. They were obviously all there together, but they were like, "You want to come join us?" And I was like, okay, I wasn't gonna say no or be rude,
Right.
but I was like, "Holy crap, what am I gonna say? I don't know these people." But like,
Yeah.
I just figured, well, I'm gonna talk about the thing that we all have in common, which is the dance
Right.
thing. So
Exactly.
it was actually pretty cool. Like I got to know them and what their background was, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm actually out from near Philly," and they're like, "Oh my God, you're all the way out here," and I was like, "Well, yeah." So I'd
Mhm.
explain the situation,
Uh-huh.
like the deal that I had with helping set up and everything, and they were like, "That is so cool. You're so fortunate that you have this opportunity." And I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's making me better, but it's also making me stronger in turn as a teacher, also,
Yeah.
which I think I've hit on uh,
And I always thought
in
those opportunities you were getting with that company was awesome because you were able to just again go to different cities, and because I'm sure every city has their thing for dance, so you can see the vibes of every different place you go, that everybody's going to have their thing, so you can kind of see different people and how they interpret dance. And because when you're uh circled into one little spot, you just think that's what either music or dance is. But then when you start branching out and you start seeing a whole bunch of other people and how they interpret, like, okay, this person interprets it different than me. How can I learn from that to make me better? And that's again coming back full circle on the fact that we're talking is that it's so much better when people can kind of just come together rather than thinking that everything's a competition, like, oh well, he's getting all the traction, why can't I, and I'm doing just as good as him. It's not even that. It's just some people just are just in the right space at the right time. But you were also tracking back to what you were saying, like there is a thing of like healthy competition, and that's a good thing to have because again, I was talking with one of my guests from Table Talk, and he was talking about, he would bring bands on tour with them, and it was either bands just friends with them, and they would have healthy competitions of like, oh, okay, well tonight. How about we just see who can go harder on stage, or do the like who can get the best crowd reaction, or blah, like healthy competitions that kind of make them want to play better, or like instead of just going through the motions, but like have something to play for, you
right.
know and I'm
Yeah,
sure it kind of helps the people on tour to kind of just keep the vibe going instead of just going through the motion of just driving to the next state, loading in, playing, unloading, then driving to the next state. So it's something that kind of just keeps the thing going.
yeah. And it what you were saying about like getting to travel and see how dance is interpreted in different parts of the country, it goes back to the culture of the area in the country. Like
Yes.
you're getting a different vibe when you're in New England, especially if you're getting people from Canada that come over to those events, because the Canadian dancers are like like Canadian wrestlers or Canadian
Yeah.
hockey players. They're insane. They're so good.
Yeah.
um, and then obviously different if you're in New York or if you're in the Delmarva area, which is where I'm the most familiar with the dance scene in this part of the country. Naturally,
Hmm.
you go to Florida, it's a whole other thing. You go
Right.
to Texas is a whole other thing. Arizona is a whole other thing. The Chicago scene is a whole other thing. Um, the Seattle scene, and then the LA theme. Even Arizona and Vegas, like they all have just different cultures of dance that they bring, and it's. I think I was talking about how it's a part of the big reason why I love dancing so much and traveling is it helps me to really appreciate diversity a lot.
Yeah.
I
There's
know,
always something you can learn from many people too.
right? Yeah, I don't mean just diversity in movement, but like just the way that people live and are and behave
Gotcha.
and treat others.
Right.
Um, because some of the cities I've been to, it's a very standoffish feel. It's very much like,
Hmm.
yeah, you ain't
Whoopsie.
like that kind of feel, you know?
Right, like, we know you're not from around here, and, like,
Yeah,
they treat you a certain way, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the competitive vibe that it is very like miss me with that. Like I'm more like you,
Yeah.
where it's like I want to be like the people that in Seattle were like, hey, you should like come join us for lunch, and then the rest of the
Right.
weekend, I was like hanging out with them in the classes, like dancing with them, and like a big thing that was happening along the way as I was like showing up. trying to dance for myself and better myself, and not try to be like, this is a social gathering and I'm here to make friends.
Yeah.
When I was getting nominated for the big show that I was always aiming to get casted for, the dancers that were getting casted would take the audition choreography and they would manipulate it so that like these two over here would act as a pair or as a team, or these three over here would do something where we had creative freedom while the song was on, and people would band together and work together and basically grab the judge's attention
Yeah.
of the audition and be like, okay, I want them in the show at the end of the year because these guys look like they're going to have fun and work hard together.
Nice.
Whereas I was just someone that's showing up and I was working hard, but I was really just like on my own because I wasn't a sociable person. I wasn't going out of my way to make
Yeah.
like the connections amongst other dancers. I was trying to get, make connections with the choreographers and the teachers, but they
Yeah.
it got to a point where I was realizing like, okay. And then the one choreographer literally, we had like a seminar type thing where um, we do like a mock audition, and then he'd give like immediate feedback on, okay, you five right here, da 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 da. And he got to me a couple of times. It's like, I I I see you can dance clearly. Like I know that you've been around here for a long time. You've been training
Uh-huh.
and he's like, you sometimes get lost in the shuffle because like these two over here will partner up and do a thing that catches my eye, or these, this half of the room will do. He's like, you just got to find a different approach. But
Gotcha.
that was getting towards the end of me going on tour with them so much. So, um, I mean, a lot of lessons learned with my time traveling
Yeah.
around with them. Um, yeah, I'm hoping that one day I can get back to another one of
Yeah.
those. Um, yeah, uh, bro, is there anything that like you wanted to tap in on real quick? I know we've got Easter this coming weekend. We're both doing our
Yeah, I
travel
mean, yeah, we're
situation.
both traveling this weekend. We're pretty much going up to the mountains. You're a little bit further up the mountains than I am. So, like you said in the beginning of the episode, it's going to be nice to kind of. It's always been. When we go up there, it's always nice to kind of just veg up there, and because you're looking at a different scenery than what you get down here in Delco. You don't really get the mountains. You don't get the scenery up there, and just the whole vibe up there is just like very chill up there. Just even in the morning you go out there and just look out, and it's just and I think the weather's not supposed to be too bad. I think it's supposed to rain a little bit on Saturday, but I think for the most part the weather's going to be pretty decent. But yeah, like you said, I'm looking forward to going up there and just kind of vegging out. And uh, yeah, it's always something that we looking forward to, going up there around Easter, and then we'll get back on Sunday and just I think my parents are going to put on a little Easter egg hunt for the kids.
Nice.
I think they started that last year, so they're going to do that again. So we'll go over to my parents, and everybody will go over there, and they'll have a little Easter egg hunt for the kids and everything, and just do a little dinner. So yeah, it'll be a fun packed weekend. So is there anything you want to touch on before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so, man. I know, because we're both traveling towards the end of this week, you wanted this episode to be just a little bit shorter so that the post uh, record editing was
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
little bit
this one's gonna
lighter
be a
on
little
you.
shorter because, like I said, a little bit shorter because we'll be traveling. So I wanted to make sure we get this episode out to you guys. So if you're watching this on the Friday, hope you guys are gonna have a fun-filled Friday, and happy Good Friday to anybody watching on Friday, and happy Easter if you guys are watching on Easter Sunday. So
Yeah, for
uh
for those of us that celebrate Easter,
absolutely.
obviously enjoy it. I know some families are a little bit more into it than others. Mine's a little bit more laid back. So I'll be getting home probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock on Sunday, and then we'll catch dinner with my side of the family.
Nice.
Maybe get a little Easter egg hunt in there. They will probably do that with the kids while I'm on my way home, honestly, because it'll probably be more middle of the day kind of thing, which
Right.
is okay. They're talking about doing an adult Easter egg hunt. Um, I don't know if they'll wait for me to do that. We've done that one a couple times, and it's pretty funny. we, we have a good time. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. You can email us at onesetpod@gmail.com if you have any suggestions or topics that you would like us to kind of dive into. Obviously, if Anthony and I aren't tuned into them, to the topic at hand, it will be a short discussion, whatever we can do. If it's something that um, obviously we can dive into in depth,
Yep.
we'd love to hear your ideas. Anthony, I know I've been doing the water kick, and we talked about this before we
We've both been
started.
doing a little bit of H2O.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the weight loss challenge this week, which is okay. We're heading into a holiday weekend, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for significant uh, results on that until maybe when I can start exercising again, when this pain in my neck. But the eating has been good. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more positive still.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's most important. And we'll be able to, I'm not going to restrict myself from having any type of food this weekend, but I'm just not going to overeat. And it's usually kind of hard when you're around an Italian family, but
right.
you do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do. Everybody, once again, thank you and cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
With our waters. Yeah. Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Episode 15 in the books. We'll see you next time. All right.
Have a good one, guys.